Pacific Marine Industrial Zone project set to recommence. Opposition unhappy over late Parliament starts. And Port Moresby Rugby League competition eyes finals.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Saturday's news. Fisheries Minister Dr. Lino Tom says the PMRZ project in Medang is anticipated to recommence next year. Minister Lino says the National Fisheries Authority and the government have made plans with allocation of funds to get this off the ground. The Fisheries Minister revealed this in Parliament yesterday after being questioned by Yanguru Sausia MP Richard Maru.
Speaking in Parliament yesterday, the former National Planning Minister says Papua New Guinea is missing out on billions through the fisheries sector. He was referring to the Pacific Maritime Industrial Zone or PMIZ in Medang. Maru says this project must be revived.
The intention to revive the marine park in Medang, the PMIZ project, have it commercialized under NFA and build the processing facilities so we can finally process 100% of our catch in Papua New Guinea. Mr. Speaker, currently 70% of all our catch is taken offshore to countries like the Philippines.
MP Maru added that currently much of the country's tuna is being fished, shipped overseas and packed to the world market by mostly Asian countries. He says if the government is serious to get this project started, funding must be allocated. Maru says it is prime time to create jobs for the locals, help generate revenue and tap into the billion-kina tuna industry.
My question to the Minister is this. Number one, Minister, can you give us a time frame on when you will start work? Is the funding been secured? When do we see some action? Because we all support that initiative. We want to see the marine park built with 9 or 2 new canneries, and we have the processing capacity to process all our fish in Papua New Guinea. So our fish is not processed in Thailand and processed in Philippines and sent to the European market to compete with our own fish. And big last one, we're losing so many jobs, so much foreign currency inflow that needs to stop. It's one of the best decisions. We support you. Please, can you tell the people of Papua New Guinea and this Parliament, when is it going to happen? Under your new plan.
Fisheries Minister Dr. Lino Tom said the PMIZ project is being captured in the recent corporate plan launched by the department and NFA. He says the Marapellet government has announced the commitment of funds for the project. Minister Lino says there are more prospects in this particular project.
PM has given assurance that we will start it next year. NFA is actually, from its internal revenue, has put aside some money to actually start the feasibility studies and do designs. So let me thank the Marape government for giving us this opportunity, for actually giving me this opportunity to lead a sector which I have no experience in. But I think it's an exciting sector that needs to grow.
About 40,000 new jobs will be created in the PMIZ project. While there is more hope for revenue generated from this project, there is a grey cloud over the tax collection in the fisheries sector.
Currently, we are processing only 30% of the fish being caught in our waters. And of the 30% being caught in our waters, that equates to, in terms of the money being made, that equates to about 292 million 455 million US dollars. So if you look at that, that's about over 1.2 billion kina worth of money coming into this country, into the industries. In terms of the taxes, it's quite difficult for us to actually find out how much of that is actually paid as taxes to the country because of our confidentiality clauses in our tax regimes. So it's quite difficult for me to get a figure out of IRC. I've been trying for a while. It's quite difficult for me to get that figure.
Jack Lopawa Jr., National EMTV News.
The concern over the effects of climate change continues to linger. In Parliament this week, Sumkar MP Chris Nangoy said parts of his district are seeing roads and basic infrastructure deteriorating due to rise in sea level. He called on the Environment Minister to assist.
We have a road
Sungkar MP Chris Nangoy said the affected communities are now being threatened by the rapid changes along the coastline. He says if nothing is done, lives of people will not be the same. Nangoy said the effect of climate change is real and is happening every day.
Time sea level rise, all the road blom improve gorana. And also most of the villages they only stop side low coastline. Sea level walk him na displace him all man mary. They have to move inland. So these are the real effects of climate change. Come up low, Mibla. So question blow me also. Number one question. Since we are attending attending more climate change or big boom, one time all developed nations, is there other plans where you will come up one time?
Responding to MP Nangoy's questions, Environment Minister Wera Morris said that concern has been raised during the COP26 summit in Glasgow. Morris says his department is doing everything to collect all reports around the country for further funding and assistance.
Karkar is one, but also there are other communities like the coastline of Bougainville, Catred Island, the sinking of the low-lying atolls in the Manus, Milne Bay, and other parts of this country. It is one that we must be able to have quality data and assessment so that we can be able to draw these monies that are now being promised in the Global Climate Fund to address such situations.
The Environment Minister also made known that a report from the COP26 Leaders Summit will be presented to Parliament and the Cabinet. Junior National, EMTV News.
It's been close to 3 years as Papua New Guinea continues to face an uphill battle with the COVID-19 situation. West New Britain Governor Sasindran Mutuvel proposed to the Health Minister through the government to establish a COVID secretariat to handle the pandemic. Mutuvel made this statement in Parliament yesterday.
Deputy Speaker, me think lo ask him this also proposal or question law Health Minister. So I'm stop now. But Deputy Speaker, are we going to continue to talk about COVID? Start lo 2020 now tupla year go finish. So no good me by talk also first dose, second dose, then all by talk third dose, booster dose by go also 10 dose na me by continue lo survive also. Me oklo ask him to so long enough any see me can consider him. Also me establish him also National AIDS Council also secretariat. Enough me establish him to also National COVID Council or National COVID Services or some like an organization where me can replace him this like NCC. Now you may establish him National COVID Service, now Provincial COVID Service. Me can address him issue blow COVID so. Rather than you me divert him all gata work mania blow health. Lo focus lo this la plenty man mary die lo narapla all diseases because whether we like it or not COVID by stop by continue. So you may establish this la separate secretariat through lo NEC or reforms inside lo this la health department. Then we can continue also national aids this like an secretariat and we can focus with selective or specialized number of staff so all can focus lo treating COVID.
Younger South MP Richard Maru is happy with the completion of the Boram Airport runway in Wewak East Sepik Province. But the MP says there are rumours that there will be no terminal upgrade for the airport due to the lapsing of the ADB loan.
After the completion of Boram Airport runway last week, Yangur Sausia MP Richard Maru in yesterday's Parliament sitting asked the Civil Aviation Minister if there are plans for a proper terminal for the airport.
So me like the minister talk out, the government must talk out to the people of Pacific. But me like some nubla terminal of Borom or Nogat. Goroka is some nubla, Hagen some nubla, Kimbek some nubla. What am situation of Pacific? Why make some nubla terminal like all the other provinces or Nogat? What is the situation with funding? We like him, minister must talk straight now to the people of Pacific. Why not working on start on nubla terminal? So, question to me, Minister, work by start or not, you got funds or not, what is the truth?
Maru said the airport currently uses a tin-shed terminal, which is not conducive for people to use. He said the project for the terminal upgrade has been delayed for the past 2 years.
loan by EDB and lapse. No got funding now, no by no got nuclear terminal. We can't continue to use the tin shed. No borrow. I'm hot now. I'm very unpleasant. Why not working to start a nuclear terminal?
Civil Aviation Minister Seki Agisa, in response, said the government has plans for most airports in the country, and Boram Airport is no exception.
And under CADIP, we have rolled out most programs in major airports. So, looking at the East Western, whether we got plans for the terminal for Boram Airport or not, I think government has planned, and we will actually deliver that. The airport, we have completed the airport runway, so we will actually deliver the terminal for Boram Airport.
Podivai National EMTV News.
The opposition has raised worrying concerns on the late starts of parliament sittings, a concern that has become notable by many Papua New Guineans who tune in for the coverage of the parliament session, either on the radio, online or on TV. The opposition boycotted parliament sitting yesterday because most members on the government side did not enter the chambers until after 11 a.m.
The late starts of parliament sessions have become a daily occurrence in the recent parliament sittings. On Tuesday this week, parliament sittings started at 3 p.m, an hour late from the scheduled time. The November sitting was supposed to have commenced, which was 2 p.m. The continuous delays or adjournments for parliament sittings have become noticeable by members of the media and those who come to parliament to attend the sessions. Parliament sessions are supposed to start at 2 p.m. on the first Tuesday of the parliament sittings and at 10 a.m. every day after. However, in the recent sittings, parliament sessions were not starting on time. Yesterday, about 15 members of the opposition side, led by Deputy Opposition Leader Dr. Alan Marat, boycotted Parliament after the session was delayed for over an hour. A statement released by the leader of the opposition, Belden Nama, expressed concerns at the late meeting times of Parliament and its decorum. The opposition leader said in the statement, and I quote, "Parliament must meet each sitting day at 10 a.m. That is the practice of Parliament unless an extraordinary situation provides for a late start. Parliament must start on time." End of quote. Meanwhile, the Office of the Prime Minister has been contacted for a government response to this issue. Theklagunga, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. The government has given 7 million kina for nurses, medical and life insurance as promised in the Industrial Awards 2021 to 2023. This follows a sit-in protest that lasted over a week following non-compliance by government agencies. An arbitration process brought parties together to resolve the matter.
A selfie from the president of the Nurses Association, a sign of relief. The Nurses Association finally getting their payment for their medical and life insurance benefits per the promised industrial awards. 7 million kina was made available to pay for the premium. The warrant issued on Thursday and an agreement signed between all parties for nurses to resume full-time duties.
As communicated to the tribunal, please find attached here with a copy of the warrant for 7 million kina purposely for life medical insurance for hardworking nurses throughout the country. The warrant is issued to the Department of Finance, who will organize the payment. Treasury regards nurses as part of the essential service providers and as such treats all matters related to nurses and all our health workers with the highest degree of priority.
The Nurses Association thanked the government for finally honoring their commitment. One of the key benefits under the Industrial Award was signed in August last year, which was to come into effect on the first day of this year.
And few of our members have passed on due to COVID infection. And as the union, head of the union, I feel for them. And that is how I've actually mobilized my national executives to put pressure on the state to ensure the life insurance is effected very quickly and all other increases in the award can come in by the close of business at the end of the year.
The General Secretary, Gibson Siune, says more coordination and communication has to be fostered between line agencies of government so that such issues don't happen again in future.
The sitting protest was unnecessary. There is a cause, there is an effect. And what we have seen is lack of accountability and responsibility in our respective positions to ensure that whatever has been signed and bounded together as a legal document has not been considered and put into action.
The first payment will be processed next pay as part of the installment, while payments for the earlier part of the year will be backdated and paid before the end of this year. Nurse Lucy Kuba was happy about the outcome of their protest and thanked the state agencies for their support.
Our cry has been heard by the bureaucrats up there, and I'm so thankful to the government of the day, especially the stakeholders, the agencies involved, Department of Personnel Management, Department of Health, and the Department of Finance and Treasury. Thank you to them for hearing our cry.
Fidelis Sukina, National, EMTV News.
Women's Microbank CEO Gunanidhi Das says PNG has a spending culture, and so the circulation of the kina in the country needs to be effectively managed to boost the economy. Being among the pioneers of the Women's Microbank in the country about 7 years ago, CEO Das spoke to EMTV News this week, emphasizing on the need for getting informal sector participants into the formal economy.
According to a 2020 report by the Department for Community Development and UN Women, there is about 12 billion kina revolving in Papua New Guinea's informal economy. Getting this into the formal economy is a huge challenge for banks in the country, whether it be the big players or the smaller players such as microbanks.
PNG being a spending country, spending culture, people already used up their money. Now, the first thing is actually there should be a pumping money to the people's hand through different mechanisms so that money can circulate. In my view, PNG Kina is still within this country. It never gone out, because if it goes out, it is just a plastic. So when it is here in the country, how it is going to revolve or circulate among the economy is the important things.
Gunanidhi Das has been involved in the micro-banking space of PNG for many years now, in which he was part of a team of people, including the late Janet Sape, who pioneered the Women's Microbank in 2014. The PNG Women's Microbank is the only one in the country and the South Pacific region and is the 6th in the world. The bank's vision and focus is on getting women groups in the informal sector, particularly in the rural areas, into the formal economy. It also enables the opportunity for women customers to become shareholders of the bank.
When we look at the banking segment, there are big players and there are small players. The big players already they are doing their role. If you ask them that you go and serve the bottom of pyramid, their cost of doing operation is too much. that's the reason actually we as microbanks, savings and loan societies are there to help those informal economy.
CEO Das says the bricks and mortar method will not work in this scenario, and so he encourages the digital approach.
Almost 12 billion kina is revolving in the informal sector. And that informal money never comes to the formal banking. Now it is the duty of the banks how we can reach out to all those informal to bring back that money. And for that, we need to go more into digital way.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
Despite challenges faced during lockdowns or restrictions put in place since last year, smaller players in PNG's banking sector have identified opportunities that are proving beneficial. Gunanidhi Das, CEO of the Women's Microbank, shared his thoughts on this, saying the digital banking platform has played a major part in this.
Affecting the microbanks big way because for us, we don't have a 24/7 banking facility. So that means if PMB stops, our mamas are unable to come to our nearest branch. So that's really affect us. But that's the reason actually we activated the group mechanism because we cannot just sit and say that there is a problem. Give interest rebate during 2020, that 2 months SOE restriction, lockdown, we were the only microbank and the financial institution given interest rebate to our good borrowers because they were really good before that. Because of lockdown, their economy was down, and when we say that, okay, if you are ready to pay back, then we are going to give you instant interest rebate. And more importantly, with the support from GOPNG and government PNG, that they ask for giving the repayment holiday, we also gave 4 months repayment holiday rather than 3 months.
5 youth groups in Vunalir ward in the Rabaul district will be paid over 12,000 kina for their engagement in construction work for the Tokakaruk Bridge. Director of Senua Construction, Jack Waller, said this is the third major project his company is involved in and is thankful to the provincial government. This bridge is located on the North Coast Road towards Kerevat. Initial construction work has already commenced. Once completed, this bridge will remain a vital link for locals, business operators or visitors to the East New Britain province who travel into Rabaul district from Kerevat. Madang Governor Peter Yama has committed 2 million kina funding to build an institution on Long Island to train dropout students. He says this will provide a pathway to ensure the youth population are trained with multi-skilled trades and build Madang and the country. Governor Yama visited Long Island recently to announce this project.
Governor Yama flew to Long Island recently to formally make the announcement. He was given a rousing welcome by the locals who have not been visited by a governor in the past years. His message was clear: the commitment to build a learning institution.
Last will become number one. All the students below me, pop meeting, me got policy long. Look out, them all dropouts, 76 dropouts, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, the ones who have no hope in life. I will send all 30, 40, 50,000, 60,000. All students of Madang, dropout students, will come here to Long Island and they will learn. Multi-skill, carpenter, plumber, landscaper, all the plumber, builder, all kind of work belong, plumbing, all one can work you to do. Multi-skill training. One man will have 3-4 knowledge.
According to the Madang governor, the institution will cater for the massive dropouts from the formal education system. He says priority will be given to students under the Second Chance program, which was initiated in 2017. Governor Yama said the institution will basically focus on multi-skilled training, an opportunity for many who tend to crime and consumption of illicit material. A traditional groundbreaking ceremony was done in front of the islanders.
Na digim ground long planning all yam or all tabio taro same spade in place use land me use him now long digim ground na me declare him also second chance school long technical school multi-skilled school.
In a separate visit to Saidor, Governor Yama announced the presentation of 50,000 kina towards the Lutheran Church. Yama declared the government's support to work with churches and help people. The funding will help renovate the church. The current church was built in 1965.
Now you all him, now you book him, now you walk him one him, good blood long. Look at them all ship below you. The one else the pastor, one can walk. Has him done more, you buy him done more. Make him one him will borrow. One is standing walking, and one business is about power below you. I got money assisting me, member president below Ambino. You did one of them, kissing number below men. And next week Sunday, me basale money come account below you area.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Chukai Sport is next. All the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. After 6 weeks of no matches, the Port Moresby Rugby Football League competition resumed their match schedules as of last week. With COVID-19 restrictions in place, the resumed competition has been granted permission to complete the season, with the knockouts starting next week.
The 2021 POM RFL season resumed with the second week of competitions after the postponement of matches due to increased number of COVID-19 cases in NCD. The 72nd season of POM RFL is closing in on the finals, and the administration has wrote to the National Control Centre and authorities to get approval to complete the season despite challenges. According to POM RFL Administrator Meke Maino, the competition is allowed to continue. However, COVID-19 restrictions are being followed.
Our games were suspended after the rise in the Delta cases in the city and around the provinces. On week 2, we were on week 2 of our round 2 games, and the games were stopped. And since then, it's been 6 weeks. 6 weeks I kept trying on behalf of the board and the administration, trying to go to the National Pandemic Control Center at the Morauta House to try and explain to them and convince them to allow us approval, restriction, conditional approval, so that we could finish our season and clear the finals.
Despite the competition continuing its matches, authorities have prohibited supporters gathering not more than 20. This includes zero tolerance of allowing spectators except the registered clubs and their players during matches.
The good thing about us was that we are gated. The venue is gated, meaning to say that we have control over who comes in and who goes out. It's a case of the no spectators and no supporters thing, because we have players and other non-players who are attached to the clubs and their teams who normally would come in and support the games and all that things. So that was going to be against our favor. But eventually they gave us the approval together with the restrictions, and the first being that no spectators, no crowd, no supporters. And we were okay by it because we had done that last season.
The POM RFL competition final round ends this Sunday with the top 8 of the Premier and Under-20 men's and the top 6 of the women's division advancing into the knockouts next weekend. Jamie Harrow, Chukai Sports.
Spreading awareness of the rules and basic skills of rugby union is the goal of the Get Into Rugby program. It's PNG Rugby Football Union's vehicle to engage a wider range of potential participants.
The Get Into Rugby initiative, run by PNG Rugby Football Union,
concluded its 8-week program, with the participants taking to the field, putting into action what they have learned.
This program is called the Inclusive Project program, funded by the Australian Sports Partnership, managed by Team Up. We've got 4 teams that are participating in this event today, from Taramba Village, Pari, Elevala and Mirugini. It's just to showcase the talents and the skills that they've learned from the 8 weeks. So we're very happy that we're able to stage this for them to celebrate the festival.
The target group of the program were women from the Motu Koitabu villages. Participants were introduced to the rules and basic skills of rugby, creating interest around the game.
There's a lot of women there. We want to introduce the game to them. We want them to come and join us. And because of the theme that Australian Partnership agreed with us, which is to include more women. And this is one area where one way we can get more women to play the code is having this program, take the code to them, and hopefully they can buy in and come in and join. And they can always join any club that's already established in Moresby, or if they want to start their own, that'll be good for them. But this is, really an example of how we can get more women to come and play rugby.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus. With you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, becoming partly cloudy with a few showers and possible thunderstorms in Port Moresby. Cloudy periods with a few squally showers and possible thunderstorms in Daru. Partly cloudy with a few showers in Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Moresby region, some showers in Wau and cloudy periods with some showers in Lae, Midang, Wewak and Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy with brief showers possible in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopora, Bau and Buka, and cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, partly cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms in Mount Hagen, Mendi and Wabeg, and partly cloudy with a few showers in Goroka and Kundiawa.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus. With you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Saturday, 20th November 2021. Until next time, pleasant viewing, be safe and good night.